Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Blue the Jaegers, and today we're going to be talking about Mikasa. Now, if you guys remember, I had a series. I announced a series like a month ago. It was X is not a good person, and I did Historia first, and now I am doing Mikasa. So, if you watch the Historia one, it's going to be basically the same format, but instead for Mikasa. Small disclaimer though. If you've watched my reacting to an essay video, which is that video where I go in to read a college essay and then I debunk it because it's trash. That one is I'm going to be using pretty much a good chunk of the arguments that I made in that video. I'm going to be repeating in this video. So if you've already seen that video, you probably shouldn't watch this video. It'll probably still be fun, but you basically hear the same things repeated. Now, I know it's not the best thing to do as a YouTuber, but this channel's main purpose is not to drive revenue. I have two other things for that. This main purpose is to simply make enriching content about the greatest anime in our generation. Anyway, so that out of the way, let's get into it. So, Mikasa. After this video is done, my job is to make you think Mikasa is not a bad person, but a really, really terrible person. Like, if you knew her in real life, you would be like, oh, that's the because she's just so evil. Like she just is completely different from everyone else. See, in Attack on Titan, Mikasa fits right in because everyone in there is a dirtbag, and as I'll get into, right, and as the series progresses. So it's like, well, she looks like a normal person, but if she was in our world, it'd be completely different. Now, why am I telling you all of Mikasa's sins? Am I just telling you this just to tell you this, just so we can all be angry at Mikasa? No, in fact, I'm telling you this for a very specific reason, because in Attack on Titan, it is actually crucial to the plot that there is no good guys and bad guys. And then, when season 4 comes out, it takes on a new purpose. Now, why am I saying season 4? I'm saying it brings up a purpose in season 4 because in season 4, that's when human-on-human warfare begins. Now, yes, I know they're fighting humans like in season 3, and we'll get to that. Actually, no, we won't get to that. I know they're fighting humans in season 3. However, in season 4, it is formal warfare against human beings, not Titans, human beings. And when that happens, it is really important to understand there really is no pure side. There's no good side, okay? So what people try to say is that, well, war is bad, right? But war also accomplishes good things. Like, I'm a Negro, for an example. The Civil War accomplished my people's freedom. But at the same time, it caused a whole bunch of suffering on both sides, and innocent people had to die on both sides, including the third side, which is unaffiliated. So we have to have this sort of balance where we can say, well, war accomplishes good things. However, people who engage in warfare are bad. Thus, war should be avoided. Okay, it's very complex, but that's how it goes. Okay, so that's why we're diving into this, which is why I'm explaining this to you now. So let's get right into it. So I bring this up all the time, so it's probably the first time you're going to hear this. However, in season 1, we see a bunch of things that is wrong with Mikasa, right? And she's constantly putting Eren above everything over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Since I'm an ending defender, people usually assume that I'm an Eren Mikasa shipper. I actually am not an Eren Mikasa shipper. I actually hated Mikasa up until the last chapter. Literally up until the last chapter, I hated her. I couldn't stand her, and the reason why I couldn't stand is because of what I just said. She was insufferable. It was era. So if you recall way back in the Trost arc, they were explaining, okay, you're gonna go here, you're gonna go in the front. You're going to go in the middle, you're going to go in the back. They're saying so much recruits, right? And Mikasa said, if the fight gets itchy, come find me. But Eren and Mikasa were in 2 separate camps. So she was directly disobeying a superior, right? And Eren's like, what are you talking about? Our commander just got done saying you're in the other position. And she said, oh, when the battle's tough, the chain of command breaks down. So I can just disobey with impunity. And that's what happened. She had a constant streak of disobeying commander's orders with impunity and ended up having horrific consequences. As you recall, Levi got injured trying to save Eren from Annie because she disobeyed his orders. She went after her, and then he ended up breaking his ankle or injuring his knee. I think it was actually his knee, injuring his knee. And so he was out for the entirety of season 2. He was out because of Mikasa's actions, which, as I've always said, could have indirectly led to some lives being saved, and still has, because Eren had to fight Annie in both of their Titan forms instead of just Levi going after Annie. But that is neither here nor there. So yeah, she was probably pretty bad, because again, you have to think like that. Your commander is telling you to do something, and if anyone's in the military, they'll know. They'll tell you, if you're not in training, if you're in the military and you are a crucial piece of the military and you disobey someone's orders directly, not even a day after they said them, just in the same hour, disobeying a direct commander's orders intentionally on purpose because you're so caught up with Era, that's not gonna go over very well. And she ended up injuring humanity's best in the process. So pretty terrible consequences there. Now in season 2, we have a very interesting piece of dialogue from Mikasa, and I am going to read it to you. So in season 2, where they're trying to rescue Eren from Reiner, she is going to kill Ymir, because Ymir is like the first person that's stopping her from getting Eren. It's just to kill Ymir and just to kill Berthold and just to kill Reiner, if you want to simplify it that way. Historia says don't do that because you're still between a rock and a hard place. Mikasa says, nah, I don't care. I have no compassion left in my heart for anyone. So let us make people I can care about, and I'll kill everyone who gets in my way. So pick your side. Does that sound like a virtuous person? When you think of a good person, does a person saying that come to your mind? I don't think so. That's pretty crazy, right? I mean, she literally said she has no compassion for anyone except for a select few group of people. Now, I understand. She was under extreme stress. She was in a war. She's trying to get her friend back. I completely understand that. And just because something's understandable does not mean it's good, right? If you're an Alliance fan, well, the rumbling is understandable, right? And if you're a Jaegers, well, then the Alliance is understandable. So, and you both would look at those with contempt. They're both pretty bad in your eyes. But hopefully you can understand where they're coming from, because it is understandable. Just because understandable does not mean that it's good, morally speaking. Now, let's get to our next example, which would be skipping over season 3, kind of, going into season 4, where probably the ugliest side of Mikasa comes out. Now, I know I said some pretty ugly stuff about Mikasa beforehand, but this is actually pretty subtle, but actually very terrifying if you think about it. Now, the reason why these characters are bad is that, as I said in the beginning of the video, not simply just to make them bad for badness sake. They're making them bad for a very specific reason. One of which, again, being the fact that when it comes down to Alliance versus Jaegerist, it's not really a question of who has the better moral virtue. It's not really a glamorous hero stops the villain. It's more about sinners trying to do the right thing, right? That's why at the end of all that they stop the rumbling, Connie says, did we do the right thing? Because all they're trying to do, and they didn't really understand what that was, since they're so morally bankrupt, as we'll get into. So that's what it's about. So if you mistake a heroes versus villains story, that's what people call them, the cringe Avengers. They're not the Avengers, right? The Avengers are supposed to be beacons of moral fortitude. That's what these people are. These are people who are just trying to prevent something that they see as so egregious, even to their wickedly depraved selves. That's what it is. All right, let's continue to season 4, as I said. Now, throughout this entire season, Mikasa is slowly starting to come to the fact that Eren might just start rumbling. Is actually worse than she imagined him to be. And we actually see this happening in real time in a flashback when they first went to Marley. When they first visited Marley, that's when Mikasa realized, wait a second, I was probably misinterpreting Eren this entire time. He's actually worse than I could have possibly imagined. And you remember the chapter, right? And so when Eren starts rumbling, or before Eren starts rumbling, when Eren breaks out of jail, right? Actually, no, before that, when he attacked Liberio, she looks around at him and she says, look what you've done, right? You've killed people, innocent people, including children, she says, and the camera pans on the kids. So she knows what's happening beforehand, right? Why? How do I know that? Because she mentioned it the second she got there. It's like she just realized it. She knew. But what happened? She still bailed Eren out. Let me ask you a question. How many people has Lord Tiber killed, according to Mikasa's knowledge? Simple question. How much human suffering has Lord Tiber done, in Mikasa's estimation? How much do you think? Well, we don't know, but probably smaller compared to Eren. And, she might have some, complex reason for why Lord Tiber's worse than Eren in that moment, but I think most of it would say, well, probably it's less. She still goes out of her way to murder someone. Well, maybe not murder because it's in a war, She goes out of her way to kill someone to save a child killer's life. Think about this for a second. Someone just went and slaughtered a bunch of people, innocent people, and then she comes in and backs him up, knowing full well what he did, because she says that he did it. And then when Levi goes to kick him, she gets upset at Levi for kicking him. I'm saying, imagine this. Imagine the actual person acting in this manner that you know. That's insane. That's insanity. What are you doing? What is wrong with this woman? But anyway, after his murder spree, he goes to prison. He gets released from prison, and she's slowly starting to think, oh, maybe Aaron's dad. And they keep talking about it. They talk about it in the room. They, meaning John and Connie and all of them, they were talking about it in the room. And, she's just grappling with this. And I think looking back, it's quite obvious that she actually knows what Aaron is doing. And she's immobilized because she does not want to stop Aaron at all. She's completely immobilized. But she knows what he's doing is wrong. However, this would soon change during the campfire conversation where she didn't care. She truly didn't care. And they start talking about it. She started saying, well, Aaron's killing people. Maybe we're going to have to kill him. And what does Mikasa do? What does Mikasa do? She draws her blades on Annie. Not only, breaking up the system they're having, threatening the alliance they made for no reason, for literal no reason, because the entire point of the alliance was to stop the rumbling. So killing Aaron, that is a perfectly reasonable thing to bring up. But again, this guy is out here, he already started the rumbling. He's out here slaughtering innocents, right? So if you're a person, I know again, some, my fellow Jaegers, they might not think of that as morally repugnant. But if you're not a Jaeger, think of how morally repugnant it is for this person, Aaron, to be going around slaughtering people wholesale. And Annie suggests, well, maybe we can kill Aaron to stop this. And then she draws her blades, right? It's incredibly astonishing to see how wicked she can get. And we're not done yet. We are not done yet. Because when she goes to the port to battle the Jaegers, we see her in the anime. I think the anime specifically does this, but in the manga you can go and see it too. But not as much as in the anime. This scene in particular I'm going to talk about is only the anime, where she goes and she purposefully, takes the Jaegers, cuts off their heads, she impales them with her thunder spear, explodes it, and then stands back so she can literally shower in their blood. What sort of morally sane person would do such a thing? Now, you're saying, well, Beluga, maybe it's coping mechanism. Maybe it is. I have no problem saying that. Maybe it is. But I seem to recall all of you people being angry that Annie swung that person around. Remember the one where she swung him around? Maybe that was a coping mechanism. I don't know, right? So if Annie does it, maybe Mikasa does it, I think it should be treated the same way. And I also seem to remember some of you Jaegers being upset because Aaron was basking and he was like, oh, this is freedom, yes, this is excellent, when he was killing a bunch of people who we knew to be innocent and knew were sympathetic to his cause. So, and you're like, oh, it's a coping child and he's happy because it's a coping mechanism. Okay, well, maybe it is, maybe, but it also is a chance that it couldn't be for all three of those, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And again, throughout the entire show, she's letting this genocide happen. She's letting it happen. She refuses to do anything about it. She goes and plays along, she dips her feet in a little bit, but she refuses to let anything happen to Aaron. Up until, of course, when I think it's 138, she kills him. Yeah, it's 138. So that is why Mikasa is not a good person. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, as they all say, and I'll see you in the next video.